On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Uh, that's his opinion. I'm not gonna say it's wrong. I think it speaks to his opinion and people that are like minded like him.
Do you agree with anything
Um,
anything he said? Does he have a point?
I don't care about his point. In all honesty, it
I said,
doesn't
do
represent
you
how I think.
agree?
No, I don't, because it doesn't align with how I think. So I'm not gonna
Does he
sit
have a
up here and
point?
agree.
Did he have a point with anything he said?
I don't care about what he said. That's the part that I just said. It doesn't align with the way I think. So I'm not going to agree with somebody that doesn't think the same way I think.
Right.
That's his opinion. And that's all I got to say.
How do
So
you
it's
think?
not a yes or no. That's his opinion. Do I agree with it? If you're going to press me about it? No,
How do
I
you
don't,
think,
because
Next?
I don't think like him.
Okay, how you think?
I don't care. The thing is, to each his own, right? Each person has their own situation.
Welcome to Lapeef, Let's Talk. If you're just tuning in, we're going to our third topic, which is she the prize? Is she the prize? I'm going to play this little snippet for you guys.
There's a high value man, or whatever term you're using. Has any one of them married you? And the answer is no. And that's what I say. The dating market is difficult because you're not an unattractive woman. Sure, a guy will take you out for a nice date. You really want to know what we think? How tall are you?
I'm 5'6". I weigh 115 pounds.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'll take you out. Oh hell yeah, I would take you
So I
out.
don't have a problem finding men taking
Of course
me out.
not. I
I've been
would,
on
but the
great
thing
dates.
is, but what are you finding them for though? Yeah, I would take you out, get you a nice steak and some lobster. We'd have a good old time, and I would blow your back out, but I wouldn't marry you. Listen, you want men not to be men. You want men to think like women. That's not what we value, ma'am. We want a beautiful woman on our arm.
Yeah,
And
that's the problem. What about
I
the
don't-
men that have children of their own? They want a stepmother.
Well, again, you still act
Think
as
like
though
most
you
men at this
listen.
age.
Okay, listen. I'll answer it. See, you're still speaking as if you have leverage in this thing, and I'm trying to level set you. Even if I have children, I got more options than you. I can go find a woman with no kids because I can afford both of you. If I can afford to take care of you and your kids, I can afford to take care of her and no kids.
Yeah.
Why would I pick you and your kids? That's why you need to stay single until your kids are gone. That's the choice you made when you reproduced, ma'am.
Is she the prize? That's the topic right now. So you have this woman. She has 2 kids, I believe, and she's having a problem dating. And so his name is Kevin Samuels. Shout out to him in his podcast. Well, I don't know if it's a podcast. Yeah, it is a podcast. It's pretty dope. But he feels as though she's not the prize, and she has everything twisted. So after seeing that, Tawana, how did you feel about it? I know you watched the whole entire segment. How did it make you feel? What are your thoughts about it?
This man, I mean, okay. His argument was so one-sided. I wish there was rules to it, so concrete, just so definite the way this man portrayed them to be. And I honestly don't think he understands that because you're a single mother does not mean that you don't have support. It doesn't mean that you don't have the means to date people without all of the challenges that comes with being a single parent. And that is the truth. Some single parents don't have the luxury of having support from family, from their other parent, and then they don't have the luxury of being able to date fluidly whenever they want. But some people do. And so if there is no challenge there, most men won't see it as a challenge. And most men won't see you as a burden. So therefore, like a lot of the things that he was saying, I just totally disagree with. He told that woman, she was 30 years old, that she would never find love. Like she needed to wait. And so her kids were old enough where she could seriously date. And he really didn't address any of the things that I feel like were important. And I'm sorry, I have to stop right there. But yes, that was my initial impression, was that it was one-sided, that there's so many other things that go along with that. And people can't say that because I'm a living proof. And I have definitely different people in my family who've been through similar situations, different people in my circle who've been through similar situations. And there are men who are open to dating women. And so I just don't agree with a lot of things he said.
Anton, I first want you to tell me your thoughts about the segment. I know you watched the whole thing too, and I also want you to give me your thoughts about how Tawana responded to it.
What women don't understand is that there is no second side to the conversation. Like, people always say stuff like it's one-sided or whatever like that. You got to understand that she was calling in for his advice because she was having trouble finding a man willing to marry her. This is not a conversation about whether or not you can find dates. It's not a conversation of whether or not you can find sex. It's not a conversation of whether or not a guy will entertain you in a relationship or even be in a long-term situation. This is a conversation about marrying, right? And when it comes to men marrying, and specifically high-value men, this is not just finding a man. This is not just finding any man. This is finding men of a certain stature that she was looking for. And I think that a lot of women have a conversation about, they give their opinion without even watching the video. I looked at a lot of the comments that was in a group and they were like, no, I ain't watching that or whatever, because whatever. But you have to understand the entirety of the conversation in order to be able to accurately assess it. When you're looking for certain type of men that are willing to marry you, you have to be at a certain criteria because they are not accepting certain things such as being a step parent of smaller children, specifically smaller children. They're not for it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he was absolutely spot on. People don't like his delivery, but everything he said was absolutely accurate. And if it wasn't, then you wouldn't have so many women having conversations and calling into his show saying that I'm beautiful, I'm the prize, I make all this money, I'm in this state, but I can't find a man of this stature that's willing to participate and marry me and be a stepfather in this certain situation. He's absolutely right, and it's the reason why she was calling in the first place. So it really don't matter how people feel, how one-sided the situation is, because he didn't call them for their advice. They called into his show because they were having trouble. So of course it's going to be one-sided because what they were doing is not working. Clearly, it's not working. Ain't no high-value men. I don't know any that's marrying women with small children. It's not happening, fam.
So, Anton, would you say that men have more options?
Yeah, absolutely. They have more options. And again, it goes with the power dynamics of what men look for versus what women are looking for, right? When you're talking about high value men, especially when you get past the age of 30, the dynamics change because when you look at the sliding scale, and I always give this conversation, I gave this conversation to the last party I was at, and every woman agreed, what men look for in women is what she looks like. What women generally look for in men is whether or not he can provide and what does he do. So when you talk about that, the highlight of women's life generally exists between their late 20s and very early 30s, sometimes not even that. And then women generally go on a downward slope when it comes to what men value in women, whereas men continue to go up because their earning potential don't even hit its peak until their late 50s, sometimes early 60s. So when you take that into consideration of what high value men are and what women are looking for versus what men are looking for, women truly don't get it. They don't understand that we don't care what you do for a living. We don't care how much money you make. We don't care whether or not you have a good relationship with the kid's father. we're looking at the dynamics as it relates to what we do and how you place into our lives. And that's why there's always going to be an overabundance of men. I mean, an overabundance of women, ratio of women to men as it relates to high value and high value women. That's just the truth. We are always going to have the power dynamics in our favor when it comes to that.
All right, B. Next, you had a chance to listen to Tawana and Anton, and also to catch a snippet of that video. I would love to hear your thoughts about everything.
Yeah, I got a few opinions. I hate shows like that. Like, of course, I'm gonna say like I really don't care. But
come on, Nix. I knew you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, for one, like why call in? Like why even call to ask advice for someone that don't even know you? Strike one, right? Strike one. Why call in asking for help and assistance for someone that doesn't know your story, and you're supposed to get this snapshot based on you giving like this very brief 30-second, not even really high level introduction of what you have to offer, and then you're allowing yourself to be on the stage for him to just break you down, right?
True.
For one, it's like, why? That's my thing. Far as his response, that's his opinion. I'm not gonna say it's wrong. I think it speaks to his opinion and people that are like-minded like him.
Do you agree? Anything he said? Does he have a point?
I don't care about his point, in all honesty. It doesn't represent.
Do you agree?
No, I don't, because it doesn't align with how I think.
Does he have a point? Did he have a point with anything he said?
I don't care about what he said. That's the part that I just said. It doesn't align with the way I think. So I'm not going to agree with somebody that doesn't think the same way I think.
Right.
That's his opinion. And that's all I got to say.
How do you
it's
think?
Not a yes or no. That's his opinion. Do I agree with it? If you're going to press me about it? No, I don't, because I don't think like him.
Okay, how you think?
I don't care. The thing is, to each his own, right? Each person has their own situation, right? So the thing
like
is, okay, she's 30, she got a seed, she's never going to get married.
She got two kids. She got two kids.
Huh?
She has 2 kids.
Okay, 2 kids.
2 kids, and she's dating, and she's looking for a particular type of man.
Her? Possibly. Can he or I predict the future? No. So the thing is, hey, it may not happen right now. She's 30 years old, right? The part that I actually prefer is the breakdown that Anton mentioned about what are we looking for, right? So the thing is that she is age 30, has 2 kids, dating. She's trying to find a husband, right? I get looking at the long-term outcome right now. Anton mentioned something that makes sense, that men don't look at things that same way at the age of 30. So it's like, even if you find somebody that is your peer group, right? We're not looking for the same things. So we're kind of maybe not even the same circles. If she's looking for someone to be the provider, to take care, to be like this what you call it, Anton, high level man or whatever like that, shit, good luck finding this 30-year-old that's going to be able to have all these different things. I disagree with her point also, because it's like you're going in leading with these monetary things, these materials and items and these worldly things that you feel that you need in order to be affirmed as to who you are as a woman. That's a messed up way of thinking. Nice. But there are people out there that think like that, because somebody may disagree with me and say like, no, that's exactly what you need to think about. I'm not. So guess what? I'm not looking for a woman that's thinking like that. So maybe I'm not attractive, or I'm not the high value person I'm looking at. Anton mentioned a point. We talked about like credit scores, shit like, hell, my credit score was like, 550, 600 last year. So the thing is like, hey, that means that technically I'm not a high value man based on whatever somebody like her is looking for. Can I provide other things? Yes, I can. So the thing is, if you're going to cut me off, and this is the part where I think men get frustrated about the dating thing too, because now it's like you have this astronomical like expectation of where I'm supposed to be at, and I'm 25 years old, 30 years old, just like with the whole Birkin bag debate. I can't afford it. So guess what? I'm not the person that you're looking for. We're not in the same group. But the thing is, if you are looking for that type of person, Anton made a good point. You are looking to someone that's upward in their 45, 50, that's established, may have been divorced, married, reinvented themselves. And that's why you find men that tend to date younger women. Historically, we've seen this. Because guess what? Anton, I would rather listen to Anton than Buddy. So the thing is, it's one of those that, hey, we see historically, men do date younger women because we are into visuals. And the thing is, none of us look the same at age 45 and 55. But if we're visual creatures, then guess what? When the man finally is now ready to say, now I'm ready to look for a wife. Mm-hmm. Most men are not going to say, I'm ready to look for a wife at age 20, 30, maybe even 40. I mean, let's be honest. I always try to use my own examples. My father didn't get married until he was like 55 or something like that. My younger brother got married before he did. How your son get married before you? So the thing is, I'm not saying that my father's an outlier. He's one of a nice sum of people that fits into that category until, guess what? He had to figure it out. He had to figure out how to build his credit, how to be a man, how to take care of, how to provide. He knew how to take care of himself. But as far as how to provide for family and a wife, that's something different. So my issue is that why call in for some man that you don't know that's supposed to give you this advice? And we've seen it not just with him, the Steve Harveys and everybody else, these men that are these relationship experts that's supposed to tell a woman how they're supposed to be. If anything, if I'm a man, I may not go to a woman to say what I would actually go to a man that's my senior to say like, hey, bruh, walk me through the game. I'm not going to necessarily, and that's my take, I'm not going to go to somebody of the opposite sex. I will actually feel more aligned with somebody of the same sex that I feel I could connect to. Because now it's, what's the shit? Venus and Mars, right? We're talking about people that look at the world differently. Historically, just the way our schema on how we look and approach things.
Now, I don't listen to men for that reason. I don't listen to men for that reason. Because I agree exactly with what you're saying.
Yeah, it just,
when it comes to how to be a woman or giving me advice on what a woman needs to do, because I just don't think that a man can tell me that. I just don't.
Anton, you bring up these examples, like, and maybe you may have a different answer to this, but you mentioned about having girls, right? And I got 2 girls. The thing is, as far as dating, I'm gonna talk about it from the perspective of a man. I'm not gonna say, well, as a woman, you need to do this. As a woman, you need to. I'm not gonna, even when I get to that point, I don't even want to frame it from that lens. I want to tell her as far as a man about expectations from a man that you should have. I'm not going to sit up there and tell her, well, you need to do this if you want to get a good man. And no, that's when we get the game wrong. And then we see mothers do that with their sons. They're like, oh, well, you need to do this. Like, no, I don't. Because the thing is, if I was listening to you, I would not be married because I'm listening to you because you don't know. Because you're looking at it from a different perspective as an older woman. I need to talk to somebody that's in my gender group, not even peer group, but in my gender group. So again, I think that in the society, we get too caught up in these sensationalized stories. Because honestly, what were we expecting him to really say to her? And second thing, last thing, then I'm done with this. But the only thing is also, we live in a society where there's many, and I think you used the term wetlock a few months back, Anton, but there's many people that have children out of wedlock that may, have these blended families. That is not new. I think it's more common, more socially acceptable. So if we're basing this off her being 30 and having 2 kids, I don't want to cut that lady off at the knees and say, you know what, man, you ain't never going to get married because you decide to have these 2 kids. Hey, we all about reform and upbuilding and evolving as a person, right? That person that she was may not be the person she will be. So it's just a matter of whether that person, are we willing to take risk on each other? And that's the part that's sad on both accounts for men and women, that we have these sensationalized expectations of who we want to date. And then we get our feelings hurt when we don't find it.
Mm-hmm. I do agree with a lot of what you said, B-Nix. The one caveat I want to add in about Kevin Samuels, though, is that he doesn't deal with just everybody, globe sphere in his conversations. He's dealing specifically with coaching men that are very, very high value. He calls them Henrys, right? High earners, not rich yet. So he deals with Henrys, and he deals with, which is a term that he's got from Forbes, and he deals with men that are already in that sphere. and he preaches that, you know, these guys need to get around other people that are in this same sphere as them because you're more powerful together than you are apart. So when we talk about Kevin Samuels or the conversations that we have with him having women in these conversations, these women are calling in, understanding that these are the type of men that they're seeking. So I just wanted to add that as context, because I think that you were right in that you were saying, yo, it's not saying that she can't find a man or she can't get married, but she's saying this is the level in which I'm seeking, and this is the only person that I'm interested in. And that was the context of the conversation. When you add that caveat and that understanding in there, then you getting permission to cut her off at the knees, because now you're saying, okay, so this is what you want. Let me have a conversation about what the expectations are from these type of men that I coach regularly. And so that's all I wanted to say about that.
Okay. No, thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
I mean, I think that he was just missing key points because, like, to be honest, when I listened to her, she supposedly is in a 2-year relationship, right? Currently, where her and the guy had went ring shopping. So like she didn't even like this guy. She didn't like him, right? So Kevin's like, but you're in a relationship with men who you don't like because you just have to take what you can get, right? Because you're just like, you don't have those options. And he was talking her through, but he was blaming the fact that she was a mother. And he was saying that that's the reason why she's not going to meet anyone, versus telling her what was going on in her character. And the issues that I saw with her was that she didn't seem confident. She didn't seem sure of herself. She had no idea what she wanted. She was like really young and immature. She was 30 years old, but she acted like she was 17. Like I couldn't even really get a woman out of that, right? Because as a single woman, as a single mother, I have qualities that are very attractive to me. Okay. I'm very nurturing. I'm very loving. I'm flexible. I have all these qualities that are attractive to men. So you can't tell me, but you can't tell me that I will never meet a man of high value, because that's not true. Because I have. And let me tell you how I've had men who paid for nannies for me to take me out. Like
let me ask you a question.
Wait, I'm telling you that I have had high value men who are attracted to me. I am currently with a high value man who's very attracted to me, who loves me, and who I believe is a forever relationship. So please, let's like not put women in these categories like, oh, because you're a single mother with 2 kids, you're never going to meet a man who is got a good credit score, who got a good job, who knows how to save his money, that knows that takes care of his responsibility, where you ain't got to take care of nothing. That's not true. I'm just telling you that right now.
So let me ask you a question though, because, and I'm gonna add the context before I ask you the question. So, and this isn't necessarily just pertaining to you, but since you're the woman on the panel, I have to pose it to you, right, in order to have this conversation fully, right?
Go ahead, yeah.
So I think that the problem with women is that they have these criteria of what they think makes them awesome, but it's what they think. It has nothing to do with what the opposite sex thinks and that perspective. Because like you just described yourself, and I have no doubt in my mind that all of it is absolutely true. But how do you know, especially as it relates to all of these other women that are looking for high value men, how do you know what the criteria is? How do you know that what you just described is what we as high value men are interested in from you as a woman? How do you know that that's the criteria?
I can only speak from my experience, and I can only speak from knowing my father, who was a provider, and my dad took care of every, his wives, and that's what he did, and that's what he taught me. I have uncles. My aunt was married to a man for 5 years. She had 3 children with this man. Divorced him and met my uncle, who they've been married for 47 years. Okay. My uncle owned property all over he was a very successful man. And he was the man of our entire, the patriarch of our family. What I'm saying to you is that I've seen with my own eyes that this is not this is not just everyone's story. And this is just not how all men think. And that there is other qualities that men value that single women have, that single mothers have. And actually, it's a lot of single women in this world with no children who struggle to find men, who struggle with relationships.
I want to ask you a question when you finish. Hold on, Anton. I want to ask you a question. Anton, let me ask you a question real quick. Tawana, what is your definition of a high value man?
What my definition of a high value man is exactly what I just said. A man who is very successful in his career, who probably has his own credit established, who's probably very solid and stable in his life, maybe own his own house, maybe have a side business, maybe is able to afford a little bit more than an average man, right? Who's making between 60 and 70K. This man is on a higher level. Maybe he has multiple homes or multiple cars, or he is very well traveled. He is intelligent. He's accomplished. All of those things to me are high value men. And those are the type of men that I'm pretty sure she was referring to.
Okay. Anton, hold on. I'm coming to you next. B. Nix, if you had to define high value man, can you tell me what that would be?
I guess somebody that is responsible, is able to provide for themselves and possibly others, a stand-up person, someone that I would say that is successful both professionally and personally, because a lot of cases people are not evenly yoked. They may be very successful professionally and not personally, and sometimes vice versa. So I think being very versatile and really just being a stand-up guy that they're able to provide for themselves and for others, and to be both personally and professionally successful.
All right. Hey, Anton, I want you to tell me your opinion about what a high value man is, and also I know you follow Kevin Samuel's page. I want to know how he defines what a high value man is.
So again, a high value man, as defined by Kevin Samuels, is specifically high earner, not rich yet. But we also have to put this into context, because and again, this is what I'm saying about women having a misunderstanding of what a high value man is, as far as what these women are seeking, right? We're talking about men who are already millionaires. We're talking about men who are in the top. The very beginning of it is the top 5% of men. So take 95% of all men and throw them out the window as it relates to this specific criteria of men. So now you're talking about the top 5% and then going up from there into the top 2%. So when you're talking about the top 2% of men, we're not talking about just six-figure earners. We're talking about men that make over $400,000, over $500,000 a year, men that have a net worth well over $1 million. And we're talking about not just gross, we're talking about minus expenses, all assets. We're talking about men that can go 2 to 3 years without never ever working a regular job, okay, and still be able to live a specific type of lifestyle and take care of and provide for a woman in a space to where she never ever have to work again, and he can still maintain this level of lifestyle. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about men that are above average or slightly above average. We're talking about men in the upper echelon, the top 1% of men, right? When he walks in, he has every single thing already together. Nobody has made him. He often spends his time working 16 to 20 hours a day to acquire this lifestyle. He's built himself up. He's self-made. This is not something that he's inherited. He's worked his entire life to build this lifestyle up and to live this specific type of way. Now, when you take that into consideration, you're talking about a man that's willing to share everything that he's worked his entire life for to become in this upper echelon of men with a man or with a woman that has kids by another man. Take into consideration also that the highest honor that a woman can give a man in a man's eyes is to bear his children. Now, this man that has been at the top of everything that he's ever done in his entire life has to take care of another man's children, right? We're talking about highest value men that think a certain type of way. So when you ask women to describe this type of guy, often at times they have no clue what they're talking about because they don't fully understand what a high value man truly is as it relates to the type of men that this guy coaches on a regular basis. They don't have the context to understand what they're talking about. So when they refer to these women as calling in asking for advice on how to get these type of men, they don't have a clue because they don't meet the criteria for a man that is of this caliber. That is the absolute truth.
Well, we might as well not talk about them because they like less than 1% of the population. So next, she should have called a show where she could get advice on actually getting a real man. What the hell you gonna get 1% of the population? Good luck, lady.
Yeah, I know. She could have.
Good luck,
Hey, she could have tuned in to Lapeef Let's Talk.
Listen,
But I mean,
I would have gave her some better advice than that. That sounds like some damn crazy mess. But you trying to get advice on how to find a man that is less than a certain percentage of the population. You more than likely gonna find a man that's making an average salary.
But you know what though? Like the only thing I want to say about that, like this perpetuates this environment in which this self-deception that we talked about. I feel like this then prompts people to feel that they have to create this facade of this type of lifestyle in order to attract a woman that's in the same peer group or in the same kind of group that they can associate with, but they have different expectations. And I think that, folks need to also check themselves too. I think that I'm not against reaching for the stars. I get it. And what Anton, you would say dating up and that whole logic, hey, to each his own if that's what you want to do. But folks got to be realistic because I ain't going to lie. After Anton, the way that you broke it down is kind of like, yeah, man, go and sit down somewhere. It's like, even if he, like, this high value man is like that, but it's kind of one of those, like, guess what? Birds of a feather.
That's like that
high value woman
thing. That's like that alpha beta thing that y'all say. It's
not just like that, but like you see like birds of a feather. You see celebrities date other celebrities. You see athletes date. It's the circle. You know what I'm saying? You want somebody that's able to match you. That's how I'm looking at it. Not a hierarchy, but really to match you. And the thing is, it's like,
or he can be better.
What she's bringing to the table. It's like, hey, what's her fucking occupation? It's like, hey, like, what? Like, you want somebody to match you, and the thing is, it's kind of like, hey, what we said, Anton. Hey, you got to stay in your weight class. Obviously, she's trying to be in the different weight class that she's not prepped for.
What's so funny about it?
That's not what she said, though. I mean, I've listened to the whole entire interview. She never said that she needed somebody that was rich or she wanted somebody that was going to take care of her. I think she just wanted a man.
She's calling it Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels specifically coaches and advocates for these type of men. When she calling into this show, at the very least, this is exactly what she's asking for. You can't take it out of context and say, well, no, fam, you calling in Kevin Samuels. These are the type of men he advocates for. That's the weight class that we're talking about.
We get into trouble.
She can call to see her.
Put people in a box. Like, that's the problem with us. We always try to put people in this box and say, you have to do this, and that's how it's going to go. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how it goes. And
I think she fully understood when she was calling that show the type of man that she's trying to attract. Like, I think she knew what Kevin Samuels' show was pretty much about. It's about the high value man and how she views the high value man probably aligned with Kevin Samuels and the people that he coached. So she was trying to seek. So she was trying to seek information about how do I get that man. That's the type of man that I want.
You're assuming that that's what she was saying.
I mean,
because that's not
all the given information. I mean, that's.
It don't even sound like she dating that type of.
No.
Okay.
She's not dating, but she's seeking it. She's seeking it.
I guess y'all. I don't know. I think that's stupid.
Go ahead next.
No, to me, it's like, I mean, even though I know that we're talking about this, like, is she the prize? But honestly, she would not be my prize because, like, you calling it, it's like I don't want no woman that gotta call in in order to get validation. You should already know your worth. Like, why are we entertaining this woman? And obviously, she got some shit she got to work on herself. She needs some
I
coaching.
mean, that's a lot of women. It's a
And I
woman
don't
out
know
there
who
like
it's
that.
from.
It was
There's a
her
lot of women
confidence.
out there like that.
That was the problem. Like I said, it was her character. It was her confidence. That's why she don't have a man.
Yeah.
No.
That's why I can't get past it. I'm sorry. I got to
That's the
put that
only
back on
reason.
the table. Like Tawana saying, I cannot sit up here and spend more mental energy on someone that really is not of high value, or however we want to define it.